Hello and welcome to this episode of Real Lives. And today I'm absolutely delighted to be talking to Jamie Loreth, author and entrepreneur who's just published the book called The Pink Blanket. Welcome, Jamie. I'm really pleased to be talking to you today. Please tell us about your book.
It's a book about a woman who faces, she's lived with domestic abuse. She's faced with leaving somebody that she loves. Lots of times we do, and that's why it's so hard to leave, is because you do love them. And so it's just based on some of the struggles that she faces with leaving her abusive partner. It's fiction. There's no real life stuff in there. It's 100% fiction, but I believe it addresses some real life issues. I think some people will be able to connect with some of the thoughts and feelings that have experienced the same thing Taya goes through. And then just to add things to the mix, I mean, she thinks she's got one direction and one plan, and she's got a secret that she's got to protect, and a goal she wants to accomplish. But of course, like any book, there's some things that get thrown in the way and obstacles she has to face, and ultimately tests her desires and dreams, and if what she thought she wanted in the first place is what she's going to end up wanting in the end. And so it's the first of a series. There's still more too. There's two more books for sure, which I'm in the writing process of. But this is the first one. So
Yes, I'm really intrigued about The Secret because, as I say, I read a little bit about the book, and she meets a guy, doesn't she? A
yes,
Welsh guy called Jonathan, and they share a secret.
yes.
I'm dying to know what it is.
We'll have to read it.
I will have to read it. What was the trigger for you to actually sit down and write the book? You said you've always wanted to write, you've always been interested in writing, but was there something that made you actually sit down and write this one?
There's probably a few things. So I was living in a abusive marriage. It wasn't healthy. I was, getting to that age. I was 40, and I really was probably at the bottom, I guess, of what I would consider where I would want my life to be.
Mm.
And I don't know. I mean, I've always had ideas come and go, and when this one came to me, I don't know, it just something resonated, and I guess where I was at in my life, and it's a long-standing dream, and I just finally went, you know what, it's now or never. So I had nothing to lose. I had nothing but, time at home because I didn't do anything. I had no life. Right. I stayed at home and was miserable. And when you're with somebody who makes you feel worthless and makes you feel and I guess maybe a little bit of a spark was I did tell my husband one time. I said to him, I said, I want to be a writer. And he laughed in my face. And I mean, I know for somebody to come at somebody and say that, it's probably like, oh, whatever, a lot of people are like, whatever. But to me, I did, and I meant that. And just knowing I guess the circumstance of the marriage, it was just like, you know what? I'm going to do it without you. Like, I don't need your support. And so at that point, I basically had to be my own biggest fan. And I'd go to work, and as a letter carrier, I'm on my feet for several hours a day alone. So if an idea would come to me, we have red cards, they're called, for parcels. And so I would jot a lot of thoughts and notes on these red cards, and then I started thinking, okay, so if I do this, can I publish it? Like, what are my chances of getting this book published? So then I start researching publishers and traditional publishing and self-publishing and, different ways of possibilities of even getting it published, and what is the likelihood. And I mean, I Googled some of the big authors out there, just to even see, and I guess just finding out that not everybody went and got a university degree who's wrote a book, and a successful book at that. So I guess I just took every little bit of encouragement I could find, however I could find it. And yeah, and then eventually it was probably about 2 years before I actually sat down and started putting words to paper. But
yeah, I was
once
going
I
to
did,
ask how long it was before you actually, because you're going through a process, going through, on a journey. Really, it was quite a brave step to take.
yeah,
The situation you're in, and,
yeah.
and it's quite a good message for everybody listening to this, that you can stay focused and keep with your dreams, and just keep going for it. Just do it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was that was, as I said, like I said, I had to be my own big, because I didn't tell anybody when I started.
Yeah,
I didn't want that discouragement. I didn't want negative energy. I just didn't
yeah,
want opinions, and and had I got into it and went, oh, this isn't for me, then people are like, oh, well, how's that going? And I just didn't want that, and
yeah.
so I just, yeah, I
Was it a bit of an escape for you? Was it a bit of a therapeutic journey?
it was, I guess it was a sense that I could, like, what the main character Taya faces in the novel, they weren't personal experiences, but they were experiences enough that I felt that genuine emotions, genuine feelings, processes, thoughts that somebody who goes through that kind of a situation would feel. And so in a way I was able to get out, I guess, my thoughts and feelings through a character who had different experiences, but it was still a way of, I guess, putting it out there
Yeah.
in a sense. And not necessarily that, I mean, in putting it out there for people to be like, oh, this is what she was thinking and feeling. It was just for me to put it out there, to get it out of myself, and to be able to have it be relatable, if
Yeah,
that makes sense. and
it does.
and yeah, as a kind of a form of healing. It was like, it was almost kind of like her and I were working through it together. I know
Yeah,
she was fiction, but a part of it is, um, I don't know how to explain it. I have more books I'm writing, but
she
this
became your
one will be
friend.
special. Yeah, it will always be a thing, because it's, I mean, it's intertwined so many things, I guess, having written that book, or written The Pink Blanket. But yeah, it's just, I don't know, there's
What would you think the biggest hurdle was you had to get over?
um probably the biggest hurdle, once I started writing, it poured out. I had people now, why, I'm like, no, I just wrote. I wrote and rewrote, and editing was stressful. But definitely the fear of failure. Definitely.
Yeah,
It was like, I mean, when somebody writes a book, people are judging you all over. And it's not an easy task, and it's not something that, people are going to be critiquing. And I'm
yeah,
good with that. Like, I'm always open to, constructive criticism, but people like to judge. And I mean, we all know what kind of a cruel world we can live in. And so when you're already really low on self-esteem and self-confidence and all those things, to do something that I feel is kind of a big thing, especially coming from a small town, it was just, I would really have to talk my ego down a lot of times, because it was right front and center, even during the writing process. It's like, oh, you'd read a page and be like, what are you doing? Like, are you even going to get there? Is it even going to be worth reading? And so it was really the fear of just, or the hurdle of getting over the fear of actually doing it, the fear of facing rejection, the fear of facing poor judgments, the fear of, I guess, just everybody else's opinions. When at the end of the day, when I finally went, you know what, this is my life. I get one life. And I mean, I've been blessed in so many ways, and even the bad times have obviously been blessings, maybe in disguise, as they say. But it just it just really brought me to a point where it was just like, you just have to realize that you can't worry about what other people think. And I mean, ultimately, if nobody likes it, you're probably not going to sell it. So that kind of sucks if you put all that hard work into it and not. But fortunately, I've had really incredible reviews, so I'm really grateful that
Yeah,
it's gone that way.
yeah, yeah. And how does it feel to get those reviews? I mean, that must give you a huge boost. I mean, it must, put away all those negativities once you get those good positive reviews.
It does help, and I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Again, I all the researching and all that. I books that I love. I'm an avid reader, like love reading, and so one thing I did was I went through and I read reviews on like major best-selling authors, and when I finally realized, it's like, you know what? Even they don't always get great reviews, and it's because everybody you can't please everybody. You just cannot. And when I finally started convincing myself and telling myself, like, you just can't. So I was prepared for that. But as I slowly started, handing out copies for friends to read and family to read, and people were like, wow, you wrote this? And there's moments where after it took me about 3 months after it was published to actually sit down and read it myself, because I was just almost tired of it with all the editing and stuff. And there's moments where I was like, wow, I wrote that. But it's like, it's a real confidence booster. It makes me appreciate that much more that I actually just went for it.
Yeah,
Like I was saying, in the publishing process, the Kirkus review, that was probably the biggest for me, was to get, in my mind, a good review from them, because it was before anybody else even knew I had written it, or it was basically my opinion and their opinion at that point. And to me, I thought that was a pretty good opinion to get a good one from. And so I still, people that have been buying it, I'll get messages and be like, people that I went to school with, and people now that they're buying it out there and stuff. And I look at my Amazon reviews, and it's just like, it makes me tear up. I can't lie.
yeah, no,
It's,
and
yeah,
you should feel proud. I mean, it's a
yeah,
lot of work, isn't it? It's a lot of, you've obviously gone on a long journey through it, and one of the things that you've just said about is you can't please people all the time. You can't please everyone all the time, and I think that is a life lesson that a lot of people need to learn. I think especially women that are in oppressive relationships.
yeah,
You know, if you're in a situation of domestic abuse and violence, then women do become pleasers.
yeah,
And because men are not, they also suffer this. So I think that's quite a strong statement to put out there, really, is that you cannot please people all the time.
yeah.
Uh, yeah. So was it harder for strangers to read it, or was it more difficult having your family and friends read it?
Um, Probably family. So I have my daughter who's over 18. She was the first one I gave a book to,
Um,
and she was the one I feared the most.
okay.
And so it would be 3 in the morning, and I'd get a text, and it'd be like, Mom, what are you writing? Because there is some, steamy scenes in there. And I was like, okay, you got to pretend I'm not the writer, because I'm like that. I said that's left in the writing room. Like, I don't address that anywhere else. And so she'd be like, okay. And so then the one day I was out delivering the mail, and it was like 9 in the morning or something, and I get a big long text from her, and she was like, oh my God, Mom, this is so good. She's like, I can't believe it. I stayed up all night. She didn't sleep all night. She couldn't put it down. I was like, really? You liked it? And she's like, I loved it. When's the next one? And I was like,
Excellent.
oh wow, okay. And so when she was all positive about it, when I give it to my friends, I don't mind. my friend, because they're my friends, that like they know me. And if you can't trust your friends, then who do you trust? And I said to them, like, I want honest opinions. And actually some of my friends, I was like, I don't think you're being honest. I had a hard time believing, because they are your friends, and so you want to trust them, but also it's like, are they being nice, right? And
Yeah.
so um strangers, or like I said, people I went to school with, that's 20 some years ago, so it's not like we're close or I've seen them. And so it's people that I know that I don't know.
Mm.
I guess those are the most intimidating, waiting for those reviews to come in,
Mm.
because they know you, but they don't know you. And it's not like a stranger. Strangers don't bother me at all. I'm prepared for the hate. I'm prepared for the love. Like, that's okay. And yeah, but it's like I said, I honestly am just so grateful that everybody who seems to read it, either they're being really nice, or it's just been genuinely great feedback. And so it's just that much more encouraging to just keep going, because
Yeah. Excellent. Well, maybe it sounds like it might be movie material. I can't wait to read it. I am going to read it after this interview, that's for sure, because I really want to know what the secret is. And
that
also,
would be great.
you have set this up to actually help women that are in domestic violence situations and mental and physical abuse, isn't it? Do you want to tell us a bit about that?
Sure. So when I was writing, um, I don't know, I guess they say we always feel like we have a bigger purpose, or, we're destined to do something, and sometimes we never find what that is. And so as I was writing, I don't know, it just, I found a fuzzy, the title popped up in the middle of the night one night too. It was kind of a process coming to the title, but
Mm.
anyways, it was a name I jotted down. And then I happened to be in a local shop, and there was like this really warm, fuzzy pink blanket. And I was like, okay, maybe that's a sign. So I bought the blanket and I took it home. And by the end, I knew it. And as I was it was quite close to the end of writing. And I just went, you know what? Shelters, or if I could donate pink blankets. And I guess in my mind, with all my dreams and thoughts, when I was writing this book of, being able to be a successful author, or man, if this would become something, that would be wonderful,
Yeah.
was kind of to, if I could afford to eventually. I didn't write the book for this, but it's just kind of come up from that. And like I said, everything, the ball just kind of kept rolling. And so it popped in the back of my head, was that, one day, if I'm successful enough and I can afford to, I want to supply fuzzy warm pink blankets, to women's shelters all over the world, right? So
Yeah.
it's something that when they come in, it's theirs. They get to leave with it. They can go to sleep with it if they've got small children with them. It's just kind of like a big warm hug when you're walking in, just to know that people care about you. The blanket would hopefully, come with some necessities, and just a little bit of a story to know that there are people out there that were like them, that care about them, that want them to believe in themselves, and to just know that there is hope for a better life, and that there's people out there that are willing to do whatever they can to give them just any form of hope, enough to just make them realize that it's their life, and they deserve to live it, and they deserve to be happy. And so when I was speaking with my publicist, one of the questions they asked me at the time, was what my goal was, my long-term goal with writing. And it was just kind of funny, because I hadn't really thought past, just writing. And
Yeah.
so when I told them my hopes for one day with the pink blanket, they were just like,
Blown
wow.
away. Well,
And
actually,
the
I'm
way
so
it went.
feel sort of goosey, and I'm just thinking, I so hope that all happens. I mean,
Thank
what a
you.
wonderful thing. I mean, just and that sort of the gift of the pink blanket, and what it symbolises, that sort of warmth, and as you say, security, and the big hug in a nice soft blanket. The whole imagery and the feelings that go with that. It's quite moving. It's quite powerful.
Yeah, like I said, I hope that one day it all comes together, and
Oh, yeah,
you know, I mean, we're in the process. I mean, what a year to get started, you know, with COVID and all that stuff. So it's been a little bit of a delay, but I just, the other day I was sitting there counting my blessings because you hear people say, what an awful year, what an awful year. And I mean, it wasn't great, but like, I just have so many things to be thankful for that I just keep feeding on them, and we'll get there. So however it is, it's something that I feel like, and that's when I was writing, and when that came to me, and then, you know, as I started putting thoughts down, you know, how it can work and when it can work, it was just like, this is it. This is what I'm supposed to do. And so it was really nice to have that revelation, to realize that, hey, and to I guess when you kind of find your purpose or your passion, and it just sits there and you know you found it, it's a pretty good feeling. So
yeah, absolutely. It's a fantastic story, your own story, the whole concept of your goal, where you want to take it with the pink blanket idea, and the story sounds amazing, and I'm really hooked. I really
I hope you enjoy it.
Go through those pages.
Yeah.
So, just to end, what would be the one piece of advice that you would give, or insight to somebody who maybe is like yourself, has been sitting there thinking, well, you know, I really would like to write a book, and you know, maybe they have different ideas going through their head, or they jotted down bits but never actually got round to actually doing it. What would be the one thing that you would say to them?
Just do it. Go for it. I can't say it enough. I mean, it's just the feelings that come with the accomplishment, and just, you get one life. You get one. So, I mean, you got to make it the best you got. So, whatever it is, whatever anybody wants to do, if you know, if it's sitting there and it's something that just doesn't go away, just do it. Just do it. I mean, at the end of the day, if you don't try, you'll never know. So
Exactly. So where can people buy the book?
So it is available on Amazon, Amazon.com, Amazon.ca, Chapters, Indigo, Barnes and Noble, 35,000 online retailers is what I'm told with my publisher. So anywhere online, I know if you Google it, it'll come up. I do have a website, lynady.com, that you can purchase through there as well. It'll take you, if you go to the bookstore, I believe it'll take you all the different options that it's available to purchase through as well. So
excellent. Just like to say that we will be putting up all that information for people so that they can pick up the links and the information if they haven't actually been able to jot it down whilst we're talking. So information will be in the links underneath. Thank you ever so much for talking to me. I've really enjoyed our chat, and I can't wait to read the book. And yeah, maybe we can hop back on and do a little book review afterwards, and you can tell me what the plot of the next one is.
That would be awesome. I would love that. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. And thank you to everyone that's listening and watching this Real Lives episode today. And if you've liked this, please subscribe and hit the notification button for the next episode of Real Lives. See you soon. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.